Hey there, and welcome to the Transparently Jordan podcast, where I'll be talking with a new guest each week, and we'll be covering topics in health, fitness, lifestyle, and so much more. So stick around and let's get into today's episode.
It just feels weird that in the running community they're very friendly and they're encouraging you to beat their record. Whereas I don't know, if you've got an Olympian or something, they certainly don't want you to beat their record. So for David to ring up and wish all the best and tell me that he wants me to beat his record, pretty much, that was good to hear.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Transparently Jordan podcast. In today's episode, we have Cooper. In just a few days' time, Cooper will be running 1200 kilometers along the Heysen run, where he aims to raise money for awareness for Beyond Blue. There are not a whole lot of people that have run this trail and finished it, so this is an amazing and honorable attempt, and Cooper chats with me later on today about his journey training for this, what he is preparing himself for, and a whole bunch of other goodies. Let's get into a little bit of an update. Not a whole lot for today's episode, to be honest. It's been about a month since the most recent episode. There are a few more to come for the rest of this season, and then I will be taking a little bit of a rest throughout Christmas. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe to the show, and get ready for the rest of this season. I just finished Sydney Marathon a couple weeks back. Performance was amazing. I shocked myself quite significantly. Of course, I did not do much speed work this past year, training for the 7 marathons that I did earlier in the year. It was more volume. It wasn't a whole lot of speed work. So in July, when I finished, I had basically, a couple months to run as fast as I can and train for speed, and it paid off. The hills and everything that I was preparing for paid off, because last year Sydney killed me. It was so difficult, Sydney not being the flattest of states. Completely surprised myself, ran a faster pace than me and my coach had anticipated, and ran basically, I think 30 to 40 minutes quicker than I did last year. So I was quite shocked with that. The plan is I have a triathlon coming up in January, and then we'll be training for Gold Coast. If I get in, it sells out super fast, and yeah, that'll be kind of the plan for next year. I think at the last half of the year, I'll do Melbourne. I've always wanted to do that, but it's been a little bit close to Sydney the last couple of years, so haven't been able to register for Melbourne as well. Now let's discuss today, spend a couple minutes about running, the running community, and this thought of kind of what you're doing is never good enough or never enough. I think we often compare ourselves quite a lot with all of these influencers. I know I post quite a bit on Instagram. I'm not an influencer, but I think a lot of us post what we've been doing, how our training has been going, yada, yada, yada. And it's quite easy to be sitting on the couch, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through stories, and seeing all of these people doing all of these things and feel a bit lazy, or not feel good about the distance that you ran that day. You know, if you're scrolling through Instagram and you see somebody smash out a 30-kilometer run and you've done 18 kilometers, you might not feel the greatest. But I think it's just important to remember that a kilometer is a kilometer. You know, you've gotten out, you've moved. The running community is not a judgmental community. It's not meant to be a judgmental community. I think we're all quite accepting of one another, and just seeing people put the work in and be out there kind of doing, whether it be a 500-meter run or a kilometer run. You put yourself out there, you got moving for the day, and I think that's more important than the distance that you do. It's also important to remember that everybody's in a different stage of their training. Melbourne Marathon, for example, is coming up. So the kilometers are kind of getting to the last end for a lot of the people training for Melbourne. So they are going to be running the 25 plus Ks every day. Myself, I don't have a marathon coming up until July. The triathlon that I'm doing in January, I think the run part of it is maybe 10, 11, or 12 kilometers. So I really am not going to be doing anything more than 20 kilometers for the next couple of months because I don't need to. So it's just important to remember that everybody's at a different stage. Everybody's training for something different. And if you are a new runner and you have just started running and you can only tolerate a kilometer or two, it's important not to feel ashamed of that and not to compare yourself to somebody who's been running for years and is training for an upcoming marathon and is doing 33 kilometers that day. Because again, you're just at a different stage. I think any kilometer, again, is an honorable kilometer. We discussed this during the episode today as well, how it's easy to judge ourselves but compare ourselves and not be impressed with what we're doing. But I just wanted to kind of touch on that because it's such a common space and it's such a common thing that I hear all the time. When I discuss it at work or when I discuss this with friends or just with strangers and tell people, yeah, I'm training for this marathon, yada yada, I hear it all the time from other people's mouths firsthand, how they're like, oh, I don't know how you ran 20 kilometers today. I can barely do 1 kilometer, or I just started running and I can only do 3 and I'm super sore. How do you... Again, I've run since I was in middle school, really, starting with athletics and cross country. So it's easy to compare, but at the same time, if you're just starting, I think that's one thing that you shouldn't really do is compare yourself. And I know that's easier said than done, but just try to, whether it be muting people on Instagram, they're not going to know, or not following people on Strava or not looking at Strava. I personally never look at Strava. I get kind of the emails of, the kudos and whatnot. And I shouldn't say I never look at Strava. A couple times a week, I might go on, or I'll go on to edit, the description of my workout that I did that day, so that mainly my coach knows what I did, where I did it on the treadmill, all of that kind of stuff. But I don't really scroll through Strava because I then catch myself looking at people's paces, what they did that day, and thoughts run through my head on how I ran so slow that day, or how I'm so slow compared to this person, and I didn't do this, I didn't do that. It's super easy to judge, but again, if you don't put yourself in that scenario, if you don't log into Strava, if you don't log into Instagram or whatnot, I think it's a little bit easier for you to not compare yourself. I've discussed this numerous times with influencers, for example, whose job is to post on social media to influence. And they have told me that they don't scroll through Instagram. They don't even log on to Instagram or TikTok that much themselves, because it's their job, and if they catch themselves comparing, or if they catch themselves, doing this and that, it just kind of creates a negative headspace and affects their work and what they do. So I find that quite interesting how, influencers posting all the time, you would assume that they're just daily scrolling through Instagram and whatnot, but a lot of the people that I've talked to actually don't do that. when I was back in Canada, this must have been 7 or 8 years ago now, and I had my vegan vans blog. Um, I never went through Instagram. I never scrolled through the vegan kind of section and whatnot because I knew I would compare, my account to this account or my recipe to this recipe or my advice to that advice. But also because it's your job basically to post on Instagram, you just kind of get tired of it. So, if influencers aren't logging on all the time, wasting their time and, their energy and mental health basically, then I don't think we should either. That was my ramble for today. We will get into today's episode. Once again, Cooper will introduce himself in the beginning of this episode. We discuss Cooper's journey with training, why he's doing this run. We discuss Beyond Blue. We discuss, I guess, Cooper's mental struggles through leading to this event and what he's preparing for during the event, how the event is going to run down. It's quite an interesting episode, so tune on in. Of course, like always, if you are listening from Apple Podcasts, which I know most of you are, please go hit that 5-star button at the bottom of the episode and the show. It helps out every podcast that you listen to. I think Spotify also has 5-star buttons now, but we do appreciate it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. And yeah, let's maybe get into today's episode. Sweet. Well, welcome, Cooper, to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, going very well. Had a good day. Looking forward to it.
Yep, sweet. Awesome. Now, Cooper, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to dive into kind of what you're doing a little bit later and whatnot, but give the listeners a little bit about you, Cooper.
Yeah, I've from the Adelaide Hills, so up in like Littlehampton way near Harndorf. Yeah, been up here, went to school up here, played footy up here for Harndorf Football Club. Always enjoyed running. It's only really been this year that I've pretty much taken off with it and actually started doing it a bit more competitively and doing a bit more kilometres in the legs. So yeah, studying to be a teacher. I've got 3 weeks to go and then I should be done with my uni and I should be a teacher next year.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm sure it's busy being the last year, the last stretch, really. I remember back to
Yes,
uni
flat
days.
out.
It's always a bit crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
What exactly got you into I guess making the shift into a bit more running?
I we'll get into it a bit further, but what was meant to do, I was meant to do it last year. But then I had an injury at the end of last year, so I was playing football for Harndorf. Last game of the season, or round 18 before finals, just went for the mark and yeah, little fracture in my leg and did all the ligaments, but the ACL. So that was sort of a no-brainer for me that football. I've had enough playing football. Let's try something new, and then from there I got into running and yeah, pretty much committed all my time to running and strength work.
Cool. Awesome. So let's get into what your goal is and what you're going to be doing in 9 days.
Yeah, so 9 days 9 days I start. In 8 days me and my support crew drive up to Parachilna. For those that don't know where Parachilna is, yeah, 6 hours north of Adelaide, pretty much. Not a heap there. It's sort of like the start of the Flinders Ranges, or pretty close to the northern tip of the Flinders Ranges. So I plan on running the Heysen Trail. So for those that don't know, the Heysen Trail, it's about just under 1200 kilometers in length. So yeah, the plan is to run that 1200 k's in the quickest time that I can do. So the current record, which is held by 3 people, so 3 people ran it together. I believe it was 4 and 1 dropped out a couple of days in. So that's 12 days and 8 hours. And then David Turnbull, who is a pretty well known runner. He has the record for doing it solo. I believe it's 13 days and 4 hours. Or I had a phone call from him this morning, actually, just wishing me all the best and giving me heaps of tips. And yeah, he said try and go for his record, and then if I can, then try and go for the group record of the three people. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, raising money for the Beyond Blue Foundation while I'm at it.
Yeah, awesome. So when did this and where did this all kind of come from and where did it start? So what made you want to I guess get into this event and take this attempt?
I've always wanted to hike it. I've studied outdoor ed at uni, and a big part of that is obviously, yeah, the Heysen Trail is a big part of outdoor activities of schools and all of that in South Australia. I was actually so I work with Pulteney, the school Pulteney, and I was with them on a camp at Mylor. There's a little Baptist camp at Mylor, and the head of outdoor ed there, Jamie, at Pulteney, sorry, he said we just got talking. He knew I liked running, and he said that he actually lived in. He just pointed out and said, "Oh, I lived in that house with my mate." And then I just kept asking questions, and then he ended up saying, "Yeah, this mate has the record for running the Heysen Trail with two others." And I just kept asking questions, didn't think much of it, and then I come home and I said, "Mum, Dad, I'm going to try and go for the record and run the Heysen Trail." So I didn't really think about it. I sort of just got home and I said, "Yep, I'm going to do it." And Dad straight away said, "There's no way you can do 100 kilometers a day." And I was like, "All right, let me prove you wrong."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's pretty much where it came from.
Sweet. Awesome. Have you always had that kind of personality? Taking on new challenges and whatnot?
Yeah, I'd say I've got that mentality. Also, I don't really think about things in. Oh, there's obviously context behind it, but there's some things I don't really think about. I'm just like, yep, if he or she or they can do it, why can't I? So that's sort of been the mentality. It's good because I get to do stuff like this and I challenge myself, but at the same time, it's has got me in trouble a few times in terms of, yeah, getting me in situations that I don't really want to
Yeah,
be in.
yeah. Cool.
But
Well,
that's how I learn.
yeah, absolutely. And that's how everybody kind of, I think, goes through a lot of it. Now, we'll get into a little bit later. I'm interested to kind of delve into what your training looks like and things like that. But I know you're raising funds and you're doing this for Beyond Blue. So give us a little bit of a rundown what that organization is about and why you chose Beyond Blue.
Yeah, so Beyond Blue, for those that don't know, mental health organisation. So they support anyone struggling mentally with their mental health, cognitive health, all the above. They've been excellent. They have reached out to me, offered to help me. The more funds I've raised, I think they now realise. I asked if they could share it on social media platforms. They initially said, "Oh, no, I can't," and I understood because there's that many people that would do fundraisers. But I think now, ever since I clicked over about 10,000 raised, I think they realised maybe this is something bigger than just what some other people might do. So they reached out, offered to send me like shirts, fundraising posters, and everything. And then yeah, once I reached about 10,000, they offered to share it on social media, really push it that way. A lot of the posts that I put up or the sponsors put up tag Beyond Blue, and they've gotten on there, commented on it, and yeah, really, I think they commented on a most recent one and just said that the funds that I raise will be used to what did they say? Have someone like a live chat 24/7. So they said that that's what my funds will go to, be able to fund someone to be there 24/7 and for uh, people all around Australia to access them as an organisation and their support. So to see them comment that on social media really sort of like hit home a bit, knowing that this is what the funds that I raise are going towards. For them to actually tell me that, I thought, yeah, was really good and interesting for those who do donate and have been like, where's this money going? Yeah, that's where it's going. So
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, that's quite awesome that they told you about exactly where it's going. And I think Beyond Blue's an amazing organization. I think with mental health being so prevalent these days, any organization that works towards helping people in that regard is quite important. Why did you choose Beyond Blue out of everybody out there? Because there's multiple, I guess, non for profits and whatnot. What drew you to Beyond Blue?
It's actually a very good question. I didn't really think about that. I did a smaller fundraising 2021, and it was like, or 2020, one of the two, and I just thought, oh, Beyond Blue was the one that stuck out to me. Most people know what Beyond Blue is, as opposed to some of the other mental health organisations. Yeah, the one I did in the past was, I can't exactly remember. I think I did like 6Ks every day for 21 days or something like that. And to me, back then was quite a bit, because I sort of only ran in amongst playing football, and all of that. But obviously now I do that quite often now. But I think it equaled being 212 kilometers or something similar like that, and that represented the 212 people that might have lost their lives. Or I did some research into it, and yeah, made it so it was a bit more personal. And what they Beyond Blue, the support they gave me was excellent. And then I just they were very helpful there. And then after my injury, end of last year, I just sent them an email and said, look, unfortunately, I have to postpone. I don't want to, but I can't run it on crutches. And then yeah, they were excellent in saying that all the funds will stay there. We're happy to, yeah, if you need anyone, we'll put our arms around you and help you. And then I just thought, yep, this is an organisation that I want to raise funds for. And I haven't had any personal like mental health problems over the years, but I've had people close to me, and I'm sure everyone's had someone close to them that unfortunately can be like a bit of a minor issue. They're just struggling a little bit upstairs in the brain, or they could end up taking their lives. So I thought, yeah, this is something, yeah, important that we're all going to face and we're all going to deal with. If we don't have if we're not suffering from the mental health issue ourselves, then there's definitely people that are close to us that unfortunately will be. So yeah, why not raise money and try and help those that are struggling.
Yeah, no, it's quite an honorable choice. I think it's a very good cause, and I think mental health is being talked about more and more. So it's good that people like yourself are kind of raising funds for it, really, because I think there are a lot of people out there that need help. But I'm interested now to delve a little bit into your training. So when did you actually start kind of the process of training for this run?
Properly, I mean, I don't know what it would backtrack to, but week 27, I'm currently in of training. So, oh, that's 6 months ago. So whatever that, April, start of April. April. I reckon it might have been start of April. I did the Belair Marathon in March off of no training. I just sort of did two practice runs and then went and did it, and I pulled up really bad. I wore Kmart socks. I didn't even know about light feet or features like proper socks. I had Kmart socks. Second time I'd worn my pair of trail runners, and I thought I'm gonna go and do it. And by the end of it, I had ripped open my heels. Was in the middle of my first placement. Couldn't walk. Had students laughing at me. And then I realised, yep, all right, I'm an idiot. Let's go do some proper training. So, and then yeah, from there I've increased. Started at like first week of training might have only been 15, 10, 15, 20Ks. And then I progressed forward. Um, the most I've done is 115Ks in the week, which to some runners, some people that run every day, that's still not, to me, that's a lot. But to some people run all the time, that's not a lot to them. But yeah, for what I'm doing, that's seems like more than enough. And then yeah, I work on school camps with people, with schools. So I sort of don't run as much on those weeks if I'm away hiking for 3 to 5 days. We did the Kokoda Trail as well for Dad's 50th in June. So there's 10 days where I didn't run, but I made up for it being on my feet and
Hmm.
walking all day.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think in the running community, any kilometer is an honorable kilometer. I don't know that, I don't
Exactly.
know that you need to hit this or that. So, um tell us though what a week, a week where you're training, what a week look like. Break it down from, Monday to Sunday. What's your I guess accumulation of kilometers and things like that?
Yeah, recent. So on the bigger weeks where I've been doing, let's go anywhere 90 plus. I reckon it has been quite often Sundays, either like a 20 and a 30, or I need to do about 50 to 60 Ks on the weekend. So I did last Saturday, I did 20, and then Sunday I did 40. But what I've been doing is instead of just going for a 40K run, I'll do a 20 in the morning, couple hours off in the middle, eat, get the nutrition in, and then learn to run with a full stomach plus heavy legs, and then I do the other 20. Throughout the week, it's been one. It's normally either Tuesday or Wednesday. I've only been doing one gym session, and that's just been legs, focusing on quads. But I reckon mainly I gym, but I don't really know all the terminology and all the muscles in the legs. But mainly focusing on my shins, my calves, ankles, and all that. So I gym probably either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and then I reckon there might be one day in there where I haven't been doing running. So I'll go, yeah, maybe 20 Ks, or if I do 40 on Sunday, probably 10 Ks on Monday, maybe 15 or 20 on Tuesday. Sometimes I've been having Wednesday off, and then Thursday, Friday I'll go again. So recently they've been less, like maybe 7 Ks, because I'm starting to taper a bit for the run, so I'm reducing the amount that I've been doing. But mainly it's been no less than 10. Normally throughout the weeks, 10, 15, 20, and maybe the occasional 25, and weekends have been 20 to 40. I've done one 80K run, like to sort of simulate a full day. I've done one 40. Oh no, I've done a couple 40s and a few 30s, and that's all I've done in terms of my big runs, my pretty big runs, very big
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah, okay. And when it comes to terrain, when it comes to hills, things like that, have you been trying to replicate that at all, or is that just something that you're naturally getting in the training?
I haven't been doing as much trail run as I want to say as I probably should, but that doesn't phase me too much. Obviously, being up here in the hills, there is a bit more hills than say if I was to do the Adelaide City Loop around the parkland. So I still do get a few hills and a bit of elevation training, but not as much as I should. But at the same time, I'm not. I say it now, knowing that in 2 weeks I'll probably be like these bloody hills. I'm not too stressed if I have to walk up the hills. I'll walk up the hills. It's more the running down hills that I'm a little bit nervous about, especially with the knees in the history and slippery rocks. So I can imagine if I walk up a hill, I'll probably walk down a hill.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. And what are your supports, or what have the support systems been like leading up to the event? Who have you been going to for injury or for, I guess, training, things like that? Or has it been more of a research on your own type of thing?
Yeah, my brother has a PT, a business, so Compound Performance.
Cool.
Um, he's been writing all my programs and telling me what to do. And then I've actually got like a family friend. Um, he does hypnotherapy. So I haven't been seeing him for private sessions, but he's been sending me recordings which I've been putting on at night to train my subconscious mind. Um, I have not had much experience with hypnotherapy, so it's all new to me. But um, he sent me the recordings last year when I hurt my knee, and he said, "If you listen to this, you'll." And I must have smiled. I must have smiled or something. He said, "You believe in it if you want, believe in it if you don't want to, but I'm sending it to you, and I want you to put it on, and it will help." Again, it's one of those things I don't know if it helped or not, but my knee's been good ever since. So,
Yeah. I think the mind's a powerful thing.
oh, definitely. So that's been the mind training. In terms of injuries, I've actually been very lucky with injuries. I haven't had anything too major. Just common runners injuries, which I've just been then taking off a couple Ks or As silly as it sounds, I've been learning and trying to run through that pain a bit, I guess,
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Hmm.
gonna feel that in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I guess you injury is quite interesting because when you're doing something like what you're doing, you're going to be in pain, like you were just saying. There might be a niggle here and there. So I think it's different when you have someone training for a 10K, for example. There's loads of other options that they can do, or loads of other 10K runs. But with somebody like yourself, you kind of need to, I guess, push through however long. So, what things have you had to overcome these last 6 months since you've been training, whether it be physical, mental? Is there anything that kind of struck you and that you've kind of really needed to focus on?
Definitely the mental side of it, especially trying to fit it in. And I'm busy, but I'm certainly not as busy as some other people. But when I had 6 weeks of placement 2 months ago, and getting up at to go to school at get to school by 8 o'clock, leave by 3:34, to then mentally be like, all right, now I have to go for a run after working with kids and trying to put a good foot in the door and do my best with placement. That took its toll a bit, but I found that was definitely mentally. I felt sore, but I wasn't injured or anything like that. So that's when I would try and get up. I moved into the city with a mate for the 6 weeks as well because it was just around the corner from the school instead of driving 40 minutes from home. So I thought I can save time instead of driving. I can save time in. I can go for a run. So I'd get up in the morning. How I'd overcome that sort of mental challenge was I'd go for a run in the morning, um, 10, 15 k's, go to school, and teach, and then do more running in the arvo, and that would sort of simulate the sore legs as well. So I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for having sore legs, and there's no point trying to not work with it because there's definitely going to be sore legs over the time. Yeah, so I'm just trying to. I'm not sure how much of that you heard, but yeah, I was trying to simulate having sore legs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and overcoming the fact that I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I'm going to feel
Yeah,
shit.
that's all right.
So
Yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
um, is that been? I know you already mentioned it before. Trying to split it up. 20Ks, one part 20Ks to stimulate that's heavy legs and whatnot. How have you been finding? How have you been finding that? Because I think that's something that I've done in the past. A lot of runners do as well, and it's quite an important thing. How have you been finding that?
I've enjoyed it. It's something that I wouldn't have normally done. It's I take a lot longer to warm up now. Probably I don't really do a warm up either because I find I'm not running super quick. I'm not doing like a 5K park run or something like that. It's just me versus me. So if I get up, I normally use the first. I'll walk down the driveway. That's my warm up, and then which is 20 meters, and then give me the first couple k's. I take a bit to warm up, especially early mornings. Couple k's to warm up, and then from there I normally feel pretty good. I got a few niggles sometime in my ankle or in my knee, but I know that give it 20 minutes and it should be all good. I haven't had anything major yet, but yeah, 20 minutes I normally feel pretty good, and then I normally have depends on the run, but then I've got an hour of running where I feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely, even with heavy legs, it takes a while to warm and to ease into it, and then you don't notice it a lot. And I think that's a good tip for everybody listening out there. If you're in a position quite similar to what you mentioned, you're on placement or you're working loads of hours and whatnot. I know I've done this for many marathons where I haven't had time. Hitting the gym maybe the day before or 2 days before, depending on when you hit DOMs, and going for a run with super sore heavy legs is a great way to kind of mimic a bit more fatigue and get that training in 3 days versus running 5 days. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
quite interesting, I think.
So I was going to say, the night before I know I've got to run, I'll lay everything. I've actually got everything laid down on the ground already for tomorrow. I just have all, and I get paid out for having to go to bed with everything perfect. But I'll put my shoes out, I'll put my clothes next to exactly what I'm going to run. If it's going to be in Not so much a problem now because the sun's up quite early. But yeah, I'll have a charged head torch on the ground. Sometimes my sunnies, like the ones I run in on the ground, a hat, just everything ready. And that way I'm not waking everyone else up in the house when I get up to go for a run. And two, I know that there's everything there ready. So there's no real reason why I can't stop the alarm, flick the sheets up, get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's again mentally, like the brain is so important, and we're learning more and more about psychology and sport and whatnot. And that's an interesting thing that a lot of people do before races, for example, before marathons and whatnot. You lay out your gear right beforehand, and I think it does something mentally, something good probably mentally to have
Yeah, for
everything
sure.
set just like you were saying, and yeah, just kind of have it ready. Really, it's one less stressor, I think, before a big run or something that you're going to be doing.
Definitely.
Um, give us some things that I guess while you're running, what are you trying to prepare yourself for? So, whether it be any, I know you mentioned your knees, things like that, but give us a list of things that you have kind of set in place so that, let's say you have a niggle, or let's say mentally you're drained. What are you going to be doing throughout the days of this run?
Yeah, so I've got my support crew is my mum, my dad, my partner Georgia, and someone from the football club by the name Murray. So just someone who he just rang up and said, "I want to come," and I said, "More than welcome to. I don't expect to," and he just said, "Nah, I'm coming." And the positive of that, well, obviously he's a great bloke, and I'm keen for him to come, but he is a qualified masseuse. So yeah, so that's I haven't quite spoken to him about it yet, but I reckon that might be the definitely the morning and the night. That's going to help get rid of obviously only muscular niggles, and then maybe even like a lunchtime stop. So that's going to help get on top of like tight muscles and muscle soreness, and all of that. And then I've got the good old hiking poles or running poles. I've got them. If it becomes very windy, if maybe my knees do need a little rest, obviously I'm still using them, but the impact on them might be as much with the poles. Um, And then, yeah, I've been told. So my auntie is a dietitian as well, so she's given me the insights and stuff. She said about 50 to 60 grams of carbs each hour, which I love eating. Well, I think a lot of people do, but for that in itself, that's a huge effort as well. Trying to get the 60 grams of carbs in. So yeah, that keeps on top of the nutrition. I do need to weigh up though if it does get to a point where my knees aren't looking good or it's going to impact me for the months or years to come. I will need to work out whether it's worth it. Um, and for me, I think that'll matter. I want to say I'm going to I'll get it done regardless. But if there's something there, if a injury comes back, like the little fracture or something in my leg, hopefully not comes back, then I need to weigh up whether is it worth pushing on. If it's in the last couple of days, then I might. But say it happens on day three, I'd probably be stupid to continue as much as I want to. I'm not one of those crazy runners that just have to get it done at all costs. I do surprisingly think about the future and think about how I'm going to feel in there as well.
Yeah, no, that's quite important. And again, I think going back to what we were mentioning before, any kilometer is an honorable kilometer. So whether it happens on if it happens, day three, or the last stretch of it, I don't think it really matters, because I think it's quite a important thing that you're doing. Um, maybe go into a bit of nutrition. What kind of things are you planning on bringing? What kind of things are you planning on, I guess, have you been trialing anything through training, or what kind of is on the plan there?
I did. So I've just recently this week been putting everything in like big tubs. So I've got uh, heaps of energy gels. Um, I've been trialing them. I've gone with precision gels. Before that, I've had the Morton. I've had like winners from Coles and Woolworths. I don't love the gels. I haven't found a runner that says, "Yep, I love them. I'd rather eat gels over real food." So I've got the gels there just for sort of an emergency if I need to, or if say the Heysen Trail goes off roads and I can't access the support crew for 6 hours, then I'll probably smack down a few gels. I've been trialing them over the last pretty much the last year, seeing how they sit in my guts, and yeah, they're not going to make me go to the toilet. Sort of which ones sit well. I've also gone with the Energy Chews as well. I'm sure you've heard of them. Yeah, so I've got quite a few of the Energy Chews as well. That's like them two are the runners nutrition. Like the quick and easy carbs and energy. I've got Cliff Bars as well, so I've got a heap of Cliff Bars. Put them all in the tub. What else have I got? Obviously, like lollies and all of that sort of really quick carbs. I'm trying to really mix it up because I don't really want to be eating Cliff Bars for 6 of them for 12 days. Um, I've actually got Closey's Foodland who are helping out with quite a bit of the food, so they're donating quite a bit. So I've put together an order for them. In the morning, I'm just trying to remember what I was told. Definitely for dinner, get the protein and the fiber in for dinner is what I believe I was told. And then morning and lunch, don't get too much fiber in because it again might not sit too well in the guts. And then I was told that protein's not gonna do a lot in the morning and lunch. That's more of a recover habit sort of towards the end of the day. So yeah, I've got lunch will look like sort of like a wrap or a sandwich with a bit of meat, quite a bit of greens as well. And then breakfast was porridge, peanut butter on toast. I've got Nutrigrain, just something real quick and easy. That's also good food. I don't just want to be eating quick and easy crap. I want to make sure it's quick and easy, good. That's going to look after me in the long run. In terms of caffeine as well, I was told I quite often have a coffee in the morning, so I was told don't try and mix up what I already do. So the plan is to get up at 4:30, 4:45 every morning and start running by 5:30 at the latest. So in that time, I'll have a coffee, and then if there's no toilet nearby, carry toilet paper because it sort of when I run after a coffee, it normally comes out within an hour or two. So um, and then with caffeine, I'm gonna try not to have it any later than 2 o'clock, I reckon. Obviously, I wouldn't mind it at 5 to get me going at 5, but negative with that is that then I won't be able to sleep and recover. Well, potentially. So I just need to be careful in that regard as well.
Yeah. And I guess it's probably a bit challenging too because you're not exactly going to have hotels and things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So what's the plan with all of that? Is it all mostly non-perishables and stuff like that? It sounds like it is, but or do you have your support system kind of there with you, right?
Yeah, there's 2 nights where we're staying at a caravan park, and by caravan park I mean we're still camping. So we've got two utes. One of the utes will tow a camper trailer, which will sleep mum and dad, and then Adrian Bryan Automotives. I don't know if you've heard of like the car dealership. So they've donated a van, like a Mercedes Sprinter, sort of with a van and a bit of kitchen and stuff in it. So that'll be me and Georgia. If she doesn't, I've said to her, I said more than happy for you to share a bed, but I said I don't know what I'm going to be like come day 2, day 3. Yeah, I might not be sleeping much. She normally falls asleep pretty quickly, but I said, yeah, could be twitching, could be, I don't know what the go would be. So we'll pack a swag as well in case something goes wrong, and then one of us will jump in a swag, and then some other swags as well for Murray and some other people that might come up along the way. But yeah, so we are 2 nights, sort of like caravan park stations with facilities and everything, and the others are pretty much camping, just obviously at a designated campsite, but just camping in the scrub. One of the nights, I reckon, I finish in Mylor one of the nights, and that's only about 10, 15 minutes from home. So I might even pop home that night, have a shower, eat some proper food, and then I'm thinking I'll then drive back and still camp, because I'm just thinking if I come home to my to the normal, I might find it hard the next day to get up and get going again after sleeping in my own bed and yeah, getting comfortable at home. I might get too comfortable that I might not feel like going the next day.
Hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. What's your sleeping pattern look like normally?
Uh, very early to bed. Um, for me, yeah, normally try and go 8:30, 9 o'clock for me is late. So try and go, yeah, get in bed by 8:30, and then normally up at, oh, it depends if I'm running maybe or gymming, maybe 5:15, 5:30. Sometimes, yeah, normally out of bed and up and going by 6:15, 6:30
Yeah,
at the latest.
cool. So it
Um,
sounds like it's going to be quite similar during these runs then.
yeah, that's the plan. I had David Turnbull, yeah, call today, who's got the record for doing it solo, and he said that when he did it, and it was very good to hear. I think he got my number from my uncle and just gave me a call and said, one, wished me all the best, all the luck. Sorry, wish me luck. Um, and he was just saying, I hope you beat my record. And I was like, that's. It just feels weird that in the running community they're very friendly and they're encouraging you to beat their record. Whereas I don't know if you've got an Olympian or something, they certainly don't want you to beat their record. So for David to ring up and wish all the best and tell me that he wants me to beat his record, pretty much, that was good to hear. So he said he would do a marathon in the morning, get into lunch, and then have lunch, and then do a marathon in the Arvo. So there's what, 80, 84, 85 Ks. And then he said he would then chase the sun. He said he'd just chase the sun until it goes down, because he said pretty much what you've been saying, every kilometer in the long run counts and helps when you look at it in that way. So whether I do that or whether well, he said he got up at 6:30 every day. If I'm getting up at 5:30, I might have an hour on him where I can go a bit more. But I'm sure that it's going to be hard getting out of bed come day, well, probably come day two, but especially in the middle of it, it's going to be definitely be tough when that alarm goes off at 4:30, 4:45. And I've asked mum or dad or Georgia, I said to someone, can you please come and wake me up? Because I said I might just, the easy things to roll over and turn the alarm off when I'm sore. So I said, just make sure I get out of that bed at 4:45 at the latest.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's the difficult thing is, you really don't know what it's going to feel like each, even day 2 and whatnot. You really don't know what it's going to do. You might have false positives as well and feel really good, and then the next day kind of fluctuate. So I guess that's quite difficult as well. But it sounds like you have some really good support systems. Having family there, I think, is going to be quite helpful. So that sounds great. Um,
Yeah, they've been great, and
yeah,
they're, yeah, willing to help. And I've made it clear that it's not just I'm doing the running, but it's not just me. It's a group effort. I can't do it without them. Actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said shouldn't get. Oh no, it was a Ned Brockman documentary, and said shouldn't get family to be your support crew. And I was like, just because they're the people you're most comfortable with. Um, and obviously, if you do feel a little sore and stuff, it's pretty easy to sort of get angry at your family. Whereas it's if you don't really get angry at someone you don't know. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how I go with family coming
yeah,
along as a support crew.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm
But I think it's
very thankful
also,
for them.
yeah, again, just like you were saying, having people that you're most comfortable with is a bit easier as well. Mentally as well. You have those supports and things like that. So I think that'll be quite good. But are you a music person, podcast person when you run, or do you not have anything on?
I normally go music.
Yeah.
There are some runs where I go podcast, and then
Mm-hmm.
recently I've done a few runs with Mum, Georgia, a few runs with her, where she's been riding my bike next to me,
Yeah.
and I take my headphones out
Hmm.
when they're with me. One, it seems a bit rude running
Yeah.
with when someone's donating their time to come and ride or run with you, and
Yeah.
I don't. there's only a certain amount of music I can listen to for
Yeah.
13 hours a day for 13 days.
Yeah.
But I've put some podcasts in, but I lose attention span pretty quick. So I sometimes
Mm,
find myself being like, all right, I can hear this person talking, but I'm not
yeah.
listening to any of it. So now it's
Yeah.
time to put music on.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that's the plan, is to alternate, is it?
Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, when someone's with me,
Yeah.
headphones out, and then I'll
Yeah.
just alternate between podcasts and music.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
that's
sometimes as well, yeah, I'll just take it out and just run with myself. But then
yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what thoughts are going through my head, what voices are going through my head then.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, that sounds good. Now, Cooper, we have something on the podcast called the Vulnerability Corner. I have 5 questions here. Each question is kind of a different question, but they all kind of revolve around vulnerability. I think I've already kind of given you a peek of the questions via email, but what I'll get you to do is pick numbers 1 through 5. I'll read the question out and I'll have you answer it to the best of your ability.
Yep. I'm going to go off the top of my memory. I'm going to go number 5, if it's what I'm thinking it is.
5. Well, they're random, so it's not the order that I've.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So even better. This one actually might tie in quite well with what you're doing, but what emotion do you feel most often? And why do you think you feel that the most often?
Great question. I'm going to give you 2 answers. So recently, it has been especially today actually when I was popping in to visit sponsors, and for everyone to it was nice weather, and for everyone to I would go and I'd shake their hand and I'd say thank you so much. Some still had to give some of the stuff, the products and stuff that they were contributing with for sponsorship. And going to shake their hand and for them to say like good luck, and then the amount of times I heard people say what I'm doing is like truly amazing and thank you so much, and I was like, I didn't expect them to say that, but the emotion that was going through there was sort of a bit overwhelming. Yes, I haven't done it yet, and yes, I know that, but it was a little bit overwhelming. I was proud, I was happy with myself and what I'm setting out to achieve, and whether I achieve it or not, I'm still going to be proud of myself and happy with myself for one, doing what I'm doing, and two, um, I've said it to some other people, making myself feel I'm going to feel shit for 13 days. Actually, no, I'll feel good for day one. 12 days. I'm not going to feel any better past day one. So, yeah, for me, suffering and feeling like shit for 12 days, I think to then give back to Beyond Blue and yeah, especially what I said earlier, for them to tell me what they're doing with the money, yeah, it makes me feel overwhelmed. I feel happy and I feel proud of myself. Um, and then the other half that I was going to say was I have found myself. We are talking about being vulnerable, so I've found myself um, over the years, especially with uni and like school and all of this education. You find yourself sort of like what I'm doing is probably not good enough, or I'm probably not doing enough. But um, I think that's when you find yourself comparing to other people. Like, great, I'm only studying teaching. How come there's other people my age that are that are elite sportsmen? How come other people are doing this? How come other people are doing that? Why am I? I'm still like, why I'm still at uni. But like, I think when you get yourself thinking like that, it's pretty toxic and pretty negative. But how do I sum that up in an emotion? Um, Hard on yourself. Like I found I can be pretty hard on myself, not just with um, that education or the career that I was talking about. I think it was also like, and it's really negative. This is why Strava's not necessarily good. You scroll through and you're like, oh shit, he's ran a lot, and then especially, and now I've realised that I'm probably having this effect on others. Like I'm doing a hunt like this many k's a week. Everyone's just scrolling through, and I had someone come up to me the other day on placement and said, I've had enough of scrolling through Strava. All I see is you bloody running 40 k's a day, and I feel shit. And then that made me think. I was like, yeah, we all get stuck, whether it's whether it's Strava, scrolling through and seeing people do all this run, or like social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You scroll through and what you see on there. I mean, a lot of people say it, what you see on there is fake. Like it's not. Well, it's not, but it's not. It's not everyone's real life. Like you see people on a holiday, you just see um, what they're posting, and
One.
then you find
Yeah.
yourself comparing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
So
I think
yeah,
it's quite difficult, and it's something that everybody I think goes through, the comparisons. And again, you're just kind of getting all of this content these days, and it's so easy to see what other people are doing, whereas what, even 20 or even 10 years ago, before Instagram became what it was, and TikTok and whatnot, you just didn't know what others were doing. So I think that's quite a common thing that you've discussed right there. And it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's hard to figure out how you can kind of break that mold and break that habit. But I think it probably just naturally comes over time, really.
yeah, for sure. No, definitely, we all get caught up in it, and I mean, we all do it. But
Yeah.
we all, if you go on a holiday, you'll post about your holiday and
Mhm.
everything like that. It's not
Yeah.
you don't post. All right, I'm sitting at my laptop doing uni today.
Yeah,
Sort of.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
But
it's a common thing, and it's just kind of something that, yeah, we all deal with, I think. But Cooper, where
yeah,
can people follow you? Where can people follow the run? I'll of course add the link to your Beyond Blue in the show notes, so you can all kind of go and donate and check that out. But where can people follow you along the run?
yeah. We've got obviously what I just spoke about on Instagram. I mean, I'll be sharing everything on there, whether it's positive, whether it's me negative, my negative thoughts in the motion, in the moment. But yeah, it'll be Instagram. Not so much on Facebook because that's a bit more private. Um, uh, I'm sure there'll be a bit on TikTok, Instagram, Strava, and all of that. I'll actually have. I won't be doing any of the posting when I'm running. It'll be my partner Georgia will. She's already said, sit down, tell me what you want me to film, what content you want, and we'll put that on there. Because yes, it's about me doing the journey, but it's not about me doing the run and showing off. It's trying to get more exposure and then more money and awareness for Beyond Blue is the main goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll post again, everybody. You can head to the show notes, and you can find Instagram's, or sorry, you can find Cooper's Instagram there. So definitely kind of follow along with the journey there. But thank you, Cooper, for coming on the podcast. I think this was awesome chat, and good luck with everything. I'll be following along as well, and I hope you enjoy yourself. It's going to be painful, but enjoying the process. Is You've worked quite hard for this, I assume, so it's going to be a good kind of end result, I think.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity to come on. Yeah, just quickly, when I was chatting to David on the phone today, he said, it was what you were saying about enjoying it. He said, just enjoy it. He said, it's going to go by so quick. Two, it's the only time where you don't have to worry about work. I don't have to worry about uni. I don't have to worry about anything else except for waking up, fresh air, being in nature, and then getting the 80, 90, 100 kilometers done for the day. So that's what I'm, more looking forward to, and I'm really excited for it.
Absolutely. Some people lay on a beach for 13 days, and some people run 100 kilometers.
Yes, correct.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Great, everybody. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. Once again, you can find the link to Cooper's Beyond Blue donation site in the show notes. Be sure to head there to my Instagram or to Cooper's Instagram, and you can find the links there. Whatever you can donate, I think it will go a long way, and it will be great for the organization and for this event. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all in the next episode.
This is Radiant Voices Media.